Joe, you want to talk Star Wars real quick before we
Yeah,
go go crazy on the gaming stuff because that's basically what we have this week. So,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say. I mean, literally, do you want to start with the acolyte, or right? Let's start with
Let's
acolyte
start with
first, maybe.
Let's start with the Ray rumors
Ray.
because
Okay.
because there was a rumor earlier this week saying that the movie is getting postponed. Um,
Yeah.
there's rumors that the Taika Waititi movie is not happening at all. Like they're saying that they're like canceling everything, basically, almost to some extent. And now there was a rumor earlier this week that the Ray movie was gonna get either postponed or indefinitely, you know, suspended. So what is up with that?
Yeah, I'm basically everything that's come about is saying that this is false news. There has been zero confirmation from legitimate places telling you that this has been delayed or even canceled. And basically, most people have assumed that maybe you're still gonna have Jedi Order, New Jedi Order, which is what it's been rumored to be called. Because even that's not been official, but the New Jedi, like that's not even
Right.
like legit official. The title for it. But the rumor is that it's come out December 18th, 2026, which means that next year filming would have to commence on it at some point, whether that's
Either
late next year
yeah,
or
sometime
summer.
next year.
And so there's plenty of time. You and I talked about before. I think that there's a good chance that this is Kathleen's last one, and that's why when Snyder came in and said, "Yo, she's not like there's been no talks of her leaving. She's staying on." That confirmed all the things that you and I've talked about for a while. That there's a very good chance. That doesn't mean that anything can happen in this industry. We could say this today, and then tomorrow she announces her retirement. I don't know, but based on the information that's in front of us, when you make new informed decisions when new information presents itself.
I still
But
stand
you
by it,
cannot
sir.
make us,
That next month we'll know something.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That. I mean, look, you've been right quite a lot, so there's nothing wrong. Like it's great in that, but like my basis is this: until I see it, I'll believe it. I don't like this judgment or precedent that everything is canceled. It's coming from the same talking points of people who
Right.
just don't like this stuff, and I don't like what's been put out. I've been clear about the things that have been put out that I don't
We've been
like it.
critical of it. Yeah.
But that
So
doesn't mean that someone's losing their jobs or that things have been canceled just yet. And I had told you also before there had been things I had heard from other places, take it with a grain of salt, that they know that there's problems at Lucasfilm. Like, so Lucasfilm knows that they're not doing good. They're not in a vacuum where they think everything's perfect. And with that, they're them being aware of it and then them making decisions based upon being aware of it. Maybe there is some signs of new faith that they can try to restore in fans by trying to commence these things properly and well written out. There's quite a bit of time if 2026 is it. You can still get this right. I don't trust the creator based on the comments that have been made, but we will see. I just don't know to expect beyond that. But look, we talked about Rings of Power. We talked about how I believe some of the complaints they're even winning over some of the legacy Tolkien fans are being won over for season two. It's never too late. You're never too far gone. If you actually do things like how what Amazon has done and Disney says like we will try to give people what they want. They're not asking for that much and don't treat the fans like they're dumb and just really pay attention. You can have something really rewarding. I think Ray is a character that unfortunately was botched and it didn't have the effect that she could have. And even in that, there's
yeah.
something very polarizing about her that I want to see more of her. I want to have more of her story because something feels unfinished. So look, we'll see. But I don't like these rumors coming around that are baseless right now.
Yeah. I don't. I think that again, and I'm kind of like in the same boat as Mark Hamill is with the character of Ray.
Right.
I think that it's. I think she's a good character. She's not a great character because of how that character was written. I think that
Yes.
okay. There's concepts of a character.
I like that.
There's
Oh,
the
jeez.
concept of the character is good.
No, no, I know what you mean. I know what
And
you mean. Yeah.
and even if you go like even with the Palpatine stuff, right? You didn't have to bring Palpatine in, but have it. If that would have been the reveal, it was like, oh yeah, it was like Palpatine. Um, that would have been fine, right? It's just that I don't know. It was yeah. It was like she was too OP from the beginning, and they
Oh
needed
yeah.
to wrangle it back a little bit. But she's fine as a character, and I was looking forward to this, right? But again, I just find it insulting that every time that there's someone attached to a Star Wars project and they ask him a question, they go, it's like, well, we're gonna go ahead and really annoy the fans with this one. It's like,
Yeah. You know what you're doing.
it's at this time it's old and tired, and they know,
Yeah.
and they know. Like even with gaming, it's getting to the point where these things are getting old and tired.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about. I have very strong feelings about stuff, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, even with gaming, dude. And I think that if it gets delayed, it's it's probably for good reason, and I'm hoping that it does get delayed and it gets like mandated with like, hey, you can't like do this to like, you know, try to like enrage the fans or whatever you guys are trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think Disney's realized that, right? And I think they've kind of like in the last few months they've had a tonal change for the better. And I talked positive about the parks. The other few weeks ago, the same could be said for movies where they're trying to go back to a neutral ground, and I think that's what what the best option is for them right now. But yeah, man, let's talk about the Acolyte, about how this budget ballooned and it's confirmed that $230.1 million for the entire show. And this was done during a tax filing. So yeah, let's go ahead and write this off as an L, good sir, because we are not renewing this thing. So those rumors were true. This is out of control, man. $230.1 million. That's more than the budget for the entire like prequel trilogy, probably. It's insane. It's insane for a show that a lot of people call the CW of Star Wars. I never watched the show,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to
That's a good
confirm.
comparison.
I wouldn't be able to confirm. But what? Maybe this is why they're being cautious. Maybe this is why there's rumors out there. But go ahead, man.
It's important that we stick to the facts. You said it when we were talking about with our last story about how, like, people are just tired, people are overwhelmed, they just don't want none of this specific talking points around Star Wars that has been basically jarring to the fandom. And the same things happened with the show The Acolyte, where a lot of people wanted to stick it around, specific talking points, and they didn't want to look at the facts. The facts tell us that this thing had a ridiculous budget that it should never have had. Sounds a little bit like mismanagement. And respectfully, Obed, I don't understand how this showrunner was allowed to have this much over budget. It happens in the industry, but usually you're a big name behind it. Like, if your name is James Cameron, you could go over budget. They're not. You're not gonna get a phone call, right? You
Right?
spend and they'll finance it. If your name is Steven
Spielberg.
Spielberg,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
allowed to
Yeah,
do that, right? But
yeah.
when you are somebody who has a recognizable show or a Russian doll show that doesn't give you the right to go this crazy over budget for something like this, and when you can't tell when you're looking at it, and you said you compared it beautifully like CW Star Wars in that way, those are facts. Like these are things that are literally problems with the show. So yes, the people I keep jumping to the fact of like, how was this show, like the people who defend it, and there's not too many of them, but I see some of their things. I try and be aware of all the conversation. How did this show get canceled and people don't want to say canceled, just not renewed, right? It got canceled. But like they don't. This show was not brought on because it had the first two episodes were record breaking 4.8 million views on launch day, and it was seventh in place in the Nielsen top 10 original charts in its premiere week. It's just that important. Just the premiere week. Look at the Nielsen ratings over the stretch of the entirety of the show,
Right.
and week after week after week. I'm not pulling it up. If I had the chart in front of me, I'm telling you, we can check this data. It dropped off every single week. Check it. You'll see it, guys. We're not coming at this show and saying,
It didn't make
well,
the
it
list
spent
a
all
couple
this
of weeks
money.
there, I
It
think.
didn't even make
Yeah.
the list. Exactly. Like we're not coming at this thing and saying it did horribly and then like it actually had good ratings, because if it had good ratings, even being over budget, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. There would be a second season. Absolutely. I guarantee you that. But the mere fact that we're talking about this, saying that this show was not continued, is not because it had an amazing first week. It's because of the show. This show did not have the viewership and the backing that some of the people who protect it, profess this to be. And on top of that, there's just like we're seeing situations like this. They were negligent with the production of money. If they were negligent with the finances, this is just proof of most likely they were negligent with the story. They were negligent in the acting. They were negligent in their research. Like this is like the ant hill, but inside you step on thing and all the ants go running. Like this is just proof of
Right.
what was going on the inside that people don't want to look at and pay attention to. The
Yeah.
emperor has no clothes. We're seeing the proof right here.
Yeah, man. Um, I have no words, man. I have no words. It's frustrating
Yeah.
because it's so frustrating that I don't. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not in the
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in the business of offending people.
Same.
Um, it's just frustrating. I just can't, like, in my mind, like, what was the budget for the Lord of the Rings, like the OG, the trilogy? Let's
Oh,
see.
a different time financially, but
Yeah,
still.
24 years ago.
Yeah, inflation's changed a lot.
Yeah, it was $93 billion.
Wait, 93 million, you said?
It was 93. Yeah, 93 million. Hobbit was 180.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh wait, it was
Yeah,
not. Yeah, it was 93 per movie though,
Yeah, I can see that.
which is fine. Yeah,
Nowadays, that would have been
And-
like half a million.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about a budget that's
The movie's
close to 12 hours of like a movie, like
Yes.
with thousands of VFX shots back in the day and practical effects too, right?
Yes.
I don't know what's probably what's the biggest budget movie that's come out in the last, I don't know, 2 years.
Dune is one of them,
Dune?
dude.
Let's see.
Dune is pretty big recently. I mean, you have a huge cast.
It's
huge
100.
projections.
It's 190 million for Dune 2.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Obviously, you can look at like we talked about
it's
Avatar.
offensive.
We can look at that. In a couple
It's
years. It's crazy.
It's offensive. How do you and visually it doesn't even compare. It's not even close. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, where does this money go?
Yeah.
Like,
No sense.
Furiosa has 168.
Yeah.
That was another
Yeah.
like big
those
budget.
movies. Yep. Big budgets.
It's insane,
No
bro.
sense.
What the heck? I don't. I just, in my mind, I was like, hey, here's like almost 300
Deadpool
million.
and the Wolverine, 200 million, dude.
So
That's
how do
crazy.
you give someone that budget that's never been involved with a VFX show, like a VFX heavy show that doesn't? How?
That's crazy.
How? It's insane. It's insane. I don't.
Yeah, this will be one of those things I think that like at some point in like film schools and stuff, like they may have to like do like a study on this at some point.
What not to do on TV? How not to spend your budget? Oh my goodness, bro, it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Well, we'll see what happens with that.